The International Skating Union, ISU, has published an updated rating of the organization. It was headed by the current world champion, Kaori Sakamoto. The second line is occupied by Belgian Luna Hendricks. And the newly minted Olympic champion Anna Sherbakova is only the third. How can this be? And how fair is that? To begin with, let's explain what this classification is. It is formed based on the results of the last 3 seasons at once. The points that skaters earn by performing at specific international tournaments are summed up. This list includes competitions that are held under the auspices of the ISU, World Championships, both adult and junior, the European Championship, the Four Continents Championship, the Winter Olympic Games, the stages of the Grand Prix Series and the challengers included in the international calendar, determined on the eve of the season. It is important to take into account that the results of athletes for the current and last season are summed up with a coefficient of 100%, and the year before, 70%. At the end of the World Championship, the final tournament of the figure year, the indicators of the earliest season are reset to 0. Thus, it cannot be said that this classification is a real reflection of the situation in world figure skating. And certainly does not reflect the balance of power among athletes. It is clear that Russians are currently in a position where they simply do not have the opportunity to earn the necessary points for the rating. But unfortunately, no one can influence this in any way. In the summer, the honored coach of Russia in figure skating, Ateri Tutberidze, in her social networks declared the absurdity of updating the ISU ratings. The organization's response was logical and unambiguous. The ISU does not plan to discuss the freezing of the world ranking in the conditions of the suspension of Russian athletes. But, in fairness, it's not such a big loss. The only thing that affects this rating is the warm-up, in which the skaters perform in the short program, and the distribution by stages of the Grand Prix. In the current situation, neither one nor the other matters. It is also worth considering that no more than 3 representatives of one country can take part in the competitions that are taken into account in the rating. And in the same Russia, there are much more talented figure skaters who deserve to get to the main starts. And based on this, the rating cannot be considered objective. But nevertheless, without taking into account the situation with Russia, the rating turned out to be quite fair. Kaori Sakamoto is the current world champion. She also won the Grand Prix stage in the USA and won silver in Japan. All these tournaments brought the skater the necessary rating points, which allowed her to top the rating. Russian figure skaters do not perform at international competitions since the Olympic Games. And, accordingly, they do not earn new points. Therefore, their fall in the rating is quite natural. And before returning to the tournaments, this will continue to happen. The only question is what the list of the strongest from ISU is about, the real level of athletes or formal titles.